Hey everyone, it's Shelby. Welcome back to another Plan With Me video for my reading journal. Can't believe it's already March. February, I don't know if I'm the only one, but February to me just completely flew by. So anyway, this is going to be my bullet journal spreads for my March reading journal. I wanted to do kind of a spin since St. Patrick's Day is in March. I wanted to do my kind of take on it, like an ode almost to St. Patrick's Day, but not it being overwhelmingly like 4-leaf clovers and little leprechauns and whatnot. I decided to do more just like Irish culture, specifically like Celtic. So this is what my cover page is going to be, is the Celtic like tree of life symbol. And before I get into talking more about that, I do want to preface this video by saying I'm still learning how to do these videos. There's a few times throughout this video where I just kind of cut through some things, so you don't really see me drawing or like coloring things in, mostly because my bullet journal and what I was doing was out of frame, and I didn't realize it at the time, because I just tend to, when I'm doing my bullet journals, it's very relaxing to me, and I just get in this zone where I'm not really paying attention to what is going around me, and I'm definitely not paying attention to where my camera is at, and I'm just putting my bullet journal where it's best for me to draw and color in what I'm doing. So if there's some times where it's not exactly in frame, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to get better at that. But anyway, so this is the Celtic like tree of life symbol. There's lots of variations of it. I just found one that I thought would be the easiest for me to draw. Some of these got pretty confusing just because of all the overlapping like roots and tree limbs. It got kind of confusing for me, like which goes above and under the others. But I managed to figure it out, and I think it looks really good. But I like this. I thought it was really pretty. And the tree of life symbol is pretty significant, especially for like Irish Celts and like Irish Celtic culture. Trees were like pretty important to their culture. They, lived among trees. They did so many things. Trees were so useful to them. And I was reading somewhere that they thought their like ancestors were reincarnated as trees, and I guess they thought maybe like when they died they would become trees. So this tree of life like symbol, it represents balance and harmony, and it was also it's also seen as like the 3 stages of life with birth, death, and reincarnation. It reminds, almost like an infinity knot. There's no, especially with this symbol, there's no end or beginning to it. So how the roots then go into like the trunk of the tree, but then they also curl around and go up into the branches, and then the branches go into the trunk of the tree. So it's never ending. And I really like that. I thought this was really neat. And pretty simple, but also not very simple. And yeah, I really liked doing this one. Oh, and then also, apparently the oak tree specifically was pretty revered because it was one of like the tallest trees around. So it symbolized like strength and power. I think I was reading something about how like lightning would strike oak trees. And I don't know if that's true or if like lightning would tend to strike those type of trees more than others, or if it was just because they were the tallest trees, so lightning would strike them. But anyway, the Celts believed, since the lightning struck this oak tree, that was like a symbol from the gods that the oak tree was pretty important. This did take a while to color in. I'm using the Archer and Olive Acrylograph pens, but I'm using like the smaller point. They have two different types of points to them just because the branches were so tiny and the roots were so tiny, so, and also the leaves. So it did take me a little bit longer than I would normally have liked to color all of this in. But since it's such small detail, I didn't want to draw outside of the lines. Okay, and now all I'm going to be doing now is I'm going back over the outline of the tree with a like micron black pen, just to make the outline a little bit bolder, to help more so with the overlapping roots and like tree limbs, so it doesn't just look like bunch of lines, so that you can actually tell that they are overlapping in several areas. Okay, now I'm just taking a pencil and I'm writing in March in the like font that I'm wanting to do. And I decided to write this down, and then also the quote that I'm going to use for my cover page down in pencil first, just because I realized since with my last month, when I didn't write it down first in pencil, I completely ran out of room with my lettering and my words that I was doing. So I was like, maybe I should think ahead a little bit better with this one and actually plan out how I'm going to write out all of the words and put them down so that I'm not like scrunching them all together and running out of room. So up the top, I'm doing March, and I found this, I guess it's like a Celtic font. It kind of reminds me of the font in oh, what's the book? I'm like blanking on it right now. Lord of the Rings, which I think is based off of like somewhat Celtic like mythology, maybe. I could be making that up. I'm not really sure. But that's what it reminds me of. And I thought it looked really cool and especially appropriate for my theme, this like Irish Celtic kind of theme. So now I'm just kind of writing in or drawing in with my like black pen the quote that I found. And I just randomly found this quote online. I was looking for like tree quotes, or I was really trying to find like a Celtic tree quote, but most of them were really long and I knew I didn't have a lot of space to put my quote. So I found this one. And it says, trees are poems that the earth writes upon the sky. This was by Khalil Gibran, I think is how you say that name. And I thought that was just a cool quote because it and then combines more reading a little bit with the poem part. So I thought that was appropriate. Cool. So now we're going to go on to the next page, which you can see a little bit. I already drew in. And sorry about that, like, stream of light that's there. I did not realize I have my window is right next to my desk where I do these, and my curtain was like slightly open and I just was not paying attention. So if you see like a I can't talk. If you see that like light like there, that's why. But anyway, so this next page is going to be my day's red spread. And I decided to do this one almost like an Irish countryside kind of scenery with farmland. So I'm drawing in, there's like a green grassy like forefront with a white little cottage in the, first part of the scene. And I'm just drawing in like different browns to make it look more like almost like a thatched brownish type of roof. Then I'm drawing in cute little door and windows. And then I wanted there to be this like almost tried to make it kind of run down this fence / gate. It wasn't exactly what I was going for, but it still works. And then I'm just putting in like little grayish like rocks along the gate. And then I'm doing some grass. So here we skipped ahead a little bit, but I just drew a bunch of grass in, and I'm still drawing a bunch of grass in. I wanted it to look more like almost like a field. And there's little dots of just other colors like white and yellow to kind of do like field flowers or wildflowers almost. And now I'm drawing in these little like boxes. I wanted to do, this is supposed to be almost like farmland in the Irish like countryside. I saw a bunch of pictures online Not all of them look like this, but some of them I really liked because they look like this and it almost looks like a quilt, like a patchwork quilt is how these farmlands like end up looking like, because they're not always uniform or in like a strict like grid pattern. They're kind of all over the place and just willy-nilly little bits here and there. So I thought that would be really cool to do for my Days Read. So my plan with this, I'm drawing in 31 boxes for the 31 days of March. And then I have some other types of like greenish colors that I'm going to color in each of these little areas to kind of, again, look like farmland for the days that I'm going to read. And then here with the background of it, I'm drawing in some mountains. I'm not 100% sure if there are mountains in Ireland. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure really exactly what the like terrain is in Ireland. I know there's like fields and grassy. I've heard of like the moors, is that right? But I'm not 100% sure if that is specifically in England or if that's also in Ireland. I don't know. But I figured some mountains would look kind of nice as like a background element to this one. So I'm just making them just kind of generic gray background, gray mountains. And then I'm going in with like a bluish grayish marker to give some like shadows to the mountains. And now I'm just going over that top layer of where the grassy fields farmland meets the mountains, since I went over a little bit with my gray marker. And now I'm just going to color in the sky with a like typical sky blue color. I did have a little bit of trouble. I'm still getting used to my acrylograph pens. I do have some trouble with some of the pens with them not wanting to work very well. So I'm still adjusting to those, trying to get them to work well. A lot of times especially with the big ones, I ended up having to go over what I've already colored again just to make it more saturated. So I don't know, we'll see. And now I'm just drawing in like some wispy little clouds. And then writing in the days of how many days there are in March. And then at the top in that same like Celtic whatnot kind of font, I am writing in Days Read. Okay, on to the next page. Oops. And this one is going to be my anticipated releases and then also my stats page. So this one, I didn't want to put too many like drawing elements. I decided just to do like a Celtic knot kind of symbol in the corner. And there's so many different types of Celtic knots. I picked this one because I thought, honestly, that it would probably be the easiest to draw. A lot of Celtic knots were just, frankly, overwhelming to me, to the point where I looked at them and they look really cool, but I had absolutely no idea where to even begin trying to replicate them or draw them out. So I just went with this because, like I said, it looked like it would be the easiest. And here I'm just splitting the page in half. And I decided to do the top section. It's going to be my anticipated releases for the month. And in this section will just be, like I said, any kind of books that are supposed to be releasing this month. I will write down the date that they're releasing and what book it is. So if I want to try to buy it, I know when it's coming out. And then the bottom, like I said, is going to be my stats. So these are going to be all of the, like, my reading stats for the month, the number of books that I read, the genres, my ratings, what have you for those. And then the page opposite that is going to be my favorite book of the month, or slash like favorite quotes from the books that I read for the month. And I'm just writing that at the top. And then down in the bottom corner, I'll be getting to that in a little bit. And this is one of those instances where I started coloring this in off screen. There you go. See, I've already done the body of it, but I drew a, what is this called? Oh, a windmill. So I saw some like images of windmills when I was looking at different like Irish aesthetic, Irish countryside. So I thought a windmill would be really easy to draw out because it's just like a little house almost with a roof, and then you draw the windmill, I guess. I don't really know if there's another word for what those things are except for a windmill. And now I'm outlining them in a like darker brownish color. And then I'm drawing like little slats all along it. Okie dokie. Then the next page, this one is going to be my books hauled page. So this is where I'll keep track of all the books that I buy for the month. And as with my other months that I've done, I like to differentiate whether the book is a physical book that I bought or if it was an ebook that I bought. Which lately, this past month, I actually ended up buying more physical books, which is not usually normal for me. I'm usually buying a lot more ebooks, but I've actually taken advantage of Kindle Unlimited, and I haven't really had to buy too many ebooks. Most of the books that I've been reading has already been on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't have to buy them, which is nice. And then in the little corner, I decided to draw a little picture of a sheep, because I'm pretty sure they do like sheep farming in Ireland. I saw lots of images of sheep too when I was looking at pictures of Ireland and the Irish countryside. So I thought a sheep would be really cute to draw. And it's pretty easy because it's just a little head with a face and then like a scrunchy fluff ball. And then little feet. And then the next page, I'm coloring in a like cross. So I always get this wrong. I think this is right. I'm pretty sure. So most of Ireland is Catholic. And then there's like a small portion that is Protestant. I believe that's right. So I'm just drawing in a little cross. And then this page is going to be my like YouTube ideas page. That worked out well for me last month. Even though I didn't do all of my ideas, they're ideas that hopefully soon I'll be able to do. So it's just an area to write down different items or things that pop in my head that I think would be good videos to do for YouTube. And then these pages, this 2-page spread is going to be my general like brain dump spread. I like having these in my bullet journal because I'm the type of person, if I think of something and if I don't write it down, I don't remember it. So I'm always trying to write things down that pop into my head, because otherwise, like ideas that I have, or I'll write lists a lot of times, books that I want to read or books that I want to buy or authors that I need to check out, other things that I need to do for either like YouTube or Instagram, anything under the sun, I write down, because like I said, it's gonna go poof and out of my mind and I'm never gonna remember it again. So again, I'm keeping this one pretty simple. I'm just drawing on this side of the page, and then I'll draw another one on the other side of the page, just some like Celtic knots. And again, I tried to do some pretty simple ones. I actually saw this like tutorial online for this specific type of Celtic knot to make it easier, where you just write or draw like a grid pattern almost, and then that helps you to weave the knots or lines. I don't really know what to call them, but it helps you to weave them a little bit better. And it definitely helped me because it made it a little bit less confusing on how to draw like which, knots go under and over other ones. So, and of course I color these in green because, it's March, it's St. Patrick's Day, gotta do green. And then kind of like with the Tree of Life Celtic knot symbol, after I colored them in, I'm just outlining them again with like a thicker, what am I trying to say? Like a thick Micron black pen. It's just to make the knot pop and to give more definition to where there's the overlapping elements. And I'm erasing some little like pencil marks on both of these. And again, in that same type of font, I'm writing brain on the left side. And then dump on the right side. Okay, the last page of my bullet journal is going to be my goals page. And again, I started this out of frame and it's still a little bit out of frame, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. I decided to draw like a castle gate because there are lots of castles in Ireland. There's lots of castles just all over Great Britain and Ireland together. So again, I thought that would be a pretty simple little drawing. Just a gray castle-y gate. And then I'm writing in goals at the top. So this is going to be like my goals like checklist page where I write down like the goals that I have for the month. And then I'll check mark when I get those done. If I get those done. Okay. So here is going to be my final flip through for my spreads for March. I'm pretty pleased overall with this. I tried to do fairly simple with making it a little bit more creative and elaborate. So I like how it turned out. But I just want to say thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye, everyone.